what thou wilt. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of 7 Minutes with themagus, featuring your host, Omega Logion, Magus of the Aeon of Ma'at. So, what is the Aeon of Ma'at? Well, as I explained before, Crowley thought the eons came in a procession. It started with the Aeon of Isis, the mother, then went to the Aeon of Osiris, the father, roughly the Christian era. Then it went to the Aeon of Horus, the son, which began in 1904, to be followed by the Aeon of the daughter, Ma'at. Crowley wasn't sure how long the Aeon of Horus would last. At one point he said, it may last 100 years or 10,000, for time is not there as it is here. Later, he seemed to lean more toward it lasting about 2,000 years, or the length of a zodiacal age. So what's a zodiacal age? Well, there's a phenomenon called the precession of the equinoxes. At the equinox, the sun appears in front of a background of stars. Well, the sun slowly moves through the zodiac backwards over time. So every equinox, the sun is earlier and earlier in the zodiac. So, for example, about 2,000 years ago, the sun is right in front of 0 degrees Aries at the equinox. And then every year after that, it moves a little bit into Pisces. Till now, at the equinox, the sun is around 4 degrees of Pisces. Eventually, it will line up to 29 degrees Aquarius. That will be the beginning of the Aquarian age. Some people say that it has already started. Some people say that's going to happen in a couple hundred years. The discrepancy is because the zodiac is divided into 12 equal sections, but the 12 constellations are not all the same size. So where does Aquarius actually begin? That's where the debate centers. I personally think that the Aquarian age began in 2012. Nevertheless, there is a prophecy in Crowley's Book of the Law about the coming eon. And it also mentions his holy place, Boleskine House. It says, "But your holy place shall be untouched throughout the centuries. Though with fire and sword it be burnt down and shattered, yet an invisible house there standeth, and shall stand until the fall of the great equinox, when Hurumachus shall arise, and the double-wanded one assume my throne and place." First of all, centuries doesn't have to refer to years. It could refer to any group of hundreds. So it could be 100 moons. And second of all, the holy place, Boleskine, was burnt to the ground, unfortunately, in December of 2015, thus allowing a new eon to begin at some unspecified time after that. Now, most people think that the position of Boleskine House is a power center for the 93 current and the word of the eon, thelema. I also believe that, which is why I made a pilgrimage there to announce that I was a thelemite. But that invisible house is no longer there because the Aeon of Horus is over. The Aeon of Ma'at began in 2020. Now, there were a couple people who announced the Aeon of Ma'at, although they were both a little bit early. One of them was Crowley's magical child, Frater Akkad. Akkad indeed, in fact, became a master of the temple so that Crowley could go on to become a magus and utter the word of the eon. Akkad said that the Aeon of Ma'at began on April 2nd, 1948, conveniently his birthday, and also conveniently 4 months after Crowley died, so there was no one around to dispute him. But Akkad did not claim the grade of magus, so he could not utter a word. He did have this word, Ma'ayan, which is composed of the first and last letters of the word manifestation, and that word is actually very important, and we'll look at it in a later episode. But Akkad was jumping the gun. He knew something was about to happen, but he wasn't quite ready for it. It's like he was in the parking lot at the concert, and he could hear the band playing inside the arena, but he wasn't actually sitting inside watching them. Another person who announced the Aeon of Ma'at was Soror Nima, who channeled the book Liber Pene Praenumbra in 1974, the book of the foreshadowing of the feather. She then developed Ma'at magic out of this. And so that was a precursor to the Aeon of Ma'at. Although she was also not a magus and did not utter a word of this eon, there is a word associated with Ma'at magic called ipsos, but I think that word has been misinterpreted, and we can talk about that in another episode as well. So there the matter stood. I say that the Aeon of Ma'at began in 2020. Now, why do I say that? I use the golden ratio. If you start at March 20th of 1904 and you go 0.618 degrees of precession of the sun, which is the reciprocal of the golden ratio, you end up in 1948, shortly after Akkad announced the eon. If you go 1.618 degrees of precession, you end up in January 2020, when the new septagram was revealed to me and the Book of the Seven Spirits was revealed. There's one other method. Take the names of the three gods of the previous eons and add time. So the gematria of Isis, Osiris, Horus, and Kronos, which is 420 plus 590 plus 1170 plus 1090 equals 3270. You divide that by the golden ratio, 1.6180334. You end up with 2020.9711431. The 2020 is the year, and the 0.97 portion tells you what part of the year it is. Well, 0.97114 part of a year gives you December 21st at 10:31 a.m. Cairo time. The solstice occurred 28 minutes before that at 10:03. So by using the names of the gods of the previous eons, you can come within a half hour of the December solstice of 2020, which is yet another proof that the Aeon of Ma'at began in that most tumultuous year of recent human history. So we're going to talk about some other aspects of the Aeon of Ma'at in coming episodes, because it's all about Thelema, Kabbalah, and the Aeon of Ma. Until then, peace and be well. And don't forget, love is the law.